Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pits Motor Cast. This is Dave. I get on that line, special guest, alcohol, the altar driver, Jamison Griffin. How you doing, Jamison?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not bad. So how'd you do last year with the car with the COVID going on? Did you get many events in?
Yeah, we got to go out to a couple events, and then we ended up hurting the car in the middle of August there, and kind of ended our season early because due to COVID, we couldn't get the parts in to fix it. So it kind of made us have a shortened season.
Yeah. So for this year, you got a lot of events in are scheduled?
Right now I have 6 on the schedule. I always add more the closer it gets to the season, but we tried to just get a rough schedule going here, and then probably around May is when I'll have my exact schedule of what we're gonna do.
So now, what got you into drag racing in the first place, Jamison?
Well, you gotta go way back to 1986. I was 2 years old, and my dad took me to Mid-Michigan Motorplex, and believe it or not, I do remember watching the cars then. But I've been hooked ever since then, and just been going to the drag strip as a kid and watching, and then finally was able to purchase a car and get in the driver's seat myself.
Now, what year was that?
We purchased the car in 2015. Prior to that, I just did street car stuff, but I've always been a huge fan of Alderds, and always looked for them, for sale and stuff, and this one just happened to pop up, and it was the right moment.
So before the Altered, you did bracket racing?
Yeah, more grudge racing.
Now, how was your... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say more grudge racing with, like, the street car stuff.
So how was your first time experience going on a drag strip?
Well, my first time ever, I had vapor lock in the vehicle I was taking, so I kissed the steering wheel about half track. But then my first time ever in the Altered, it was a different experience. I guess you'd say I tiptoed around until I got comfortable with it. But by the end of the day, I was making full passes and ready to go faster.
So what's the fastest pass you made with the Altered?
Well, on our new setup, I did a 960 at 139 mile an hour, and got back to the pits and realized our plugs were soaking wet, so we were super rich and nowhere near our tune-up. And then shortly after that, when I hurt the car. So we're still creeping up on it. We're hoping this year to run a 9.0 index with it.
Man, the car, the paint job on the car is the same paint job that you bought it?
Yep. We've added a wing to it now. That's another problem we were having. Now we're putting more horsepower down, is the car likes to dance around a little bit more.
Yeah. So you're a pretty big guy. What are you, about 6 foot?
Yeah, 5'11", 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I look bigger in pictures than I actually am, but...
Yeah. So what's been your greatest, win so far with the Fuel Altered?
Well, I've had some really good runner-ups. I swear to God, those are more fun than the actual wins, because they seem like, we're only a foot apart going across the stripe. But win-wise, I mean, I went and did some bracket racing when we were carbureted and stuff, and it was fun, at the local tracks around here. But, I like doing the traveling for the nostalgia events. And, just getting round wins in those is just tons of fun and keeps you going.
So now, what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
I guess, I enjoy putting on the show for the fans, because I knew when I was a kid, watching the cars do the burnouts and the dry hops and, going down the track, I just want to make sure I'm doing that for somebody else,
Now, is there anything that you hate about being a drag racer?
No, not at all. I mean, other than cost, but, you can't really complain about that.
Now, if you could have you could have the drag race fans that come on and watch your race, remember one thing about you. What would you want that one thing to be that they remember about you?
Well, just even though I look grumpy sometimes, I'm a really easy guy to talk to and love talking about the car.
Yeah, I've known a few people like that in my lifetime when they look like they're mad all the time.
Right.
Then you talk to them, they're the nicest person you ever meet.
Yep. I try to be. I've always been a people person.
So if you stop by the pit area by Jamison, if he looks grumpy, he's not grumpy. You could talk to him.
Right.
And make sure you say hi to him. Yeah. So do you get a lot of kids in the pit area? You put them in the seat of the car?
Yeah. Every time one comes by and wants to, I'm all about it. It's kind of funny. Growing up as a kid, getting autographs from the drivers and stuff, and now I have the kids coming around and have me sign their T-shirts.
Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite tracks to race on?
I'll have to say my all-time favorite track is Bowling Green, Kentucky, Beach Bend Raceway Park. I just love the atmosphere down there. The fact that the stands are covered for the fans. Even though it's hot down there, we always have just a killer time. We go down there to the Hot Rod Reunion. And then another track I really like going to is 42 Dragway in West Salem, Ohio. That's a fun one. We always go down there to the Rockin' Race. It's a really good time.
Now, do you do quarter mile racing or you do 8 mile too?
I'll do whatever they'll let me do. So if it happens to be 8 mile, I'll run an 8 mile, but I prefer quarter mile. There's just something about that second half of the track that's a lot of fun.
Now, do you think you could get any better as a driver? And if so, how do you achieve that to get better?
Well, it's kind of funny is, I don't have internet, cable, any of that in my house. I have a practice tree that I play on a lot. And I use that as my consistency. And I do believe I can always be better as a driver. I don't think you can ever be perfect. So I'm always looking for ways of focusing my concentration, using my practice tree to keep up on my lights. It's just all that in general. I eat, sleep, and whatever I say about drag racing.
Now, if someone might be listening to this interview live right now, whether it be a young kid or adult or teenager, what and they're thinking about drag racing, what kind of advice would you give?
Stick to it. I mean, it took me a while to get where I am. And I got frustrated, tried building cars and stuff, and it just didn't go my way. But I stuck to it, and finally making it to where I can go out and have fun. And I do it with my dad. It's me and him, and we go out and have a ton of fun. And we stick to a budget. I mean, that's the main thing too, is figuring out what your budget is, and then sticking close to it.
Now, do you have any kids?
Nope.
All right, so your dad's one of your crew members?
Yep. It started off with just me and my dad going to the track, and that's, we were carbureted, basically a bracket car. And, each year we stepped it up, tried going a little bit faster, and sometimes we went backwards, but, it was all a learning experience. And we picked up another guy that comes to the track with us, Scott Smith. He's just a fellow drag racer and loves the sport just as much as I do, and he comes with us and helps us out. And then this year we're hoping to add another crew member, Elizabeth Mary. I think I pronounced that right. So that sounds familiar. She wants to come on and help out and hang out at the track.
Now for preparation, does it take a lot of prep to get that thing ready for a weekend?
Yes and no. I guess I am super picky. We spin the engine quite high, like 11,000 RPM. So in between races, I go through and check everything over, checking the push rods, all that stuff, just to make sure. Generally, I wouldn't say there's a lot of maintenance on it, because we don't really have to replace any parts, but it's just checkups.
So now you run on alcohol, right?
Yep. It's a 302 cubic inch small block Chevy, and we're running cast iron heads, and then a crawler mechanical fuel injection on alcohol.
So what year is that body on that car?
It's a 32 body. The chassis is actually an older chassis, and it's hard to find history on it. But what I've found so far is it's from the early 60s. We're thinking it's like a 63 chassis.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now, do you have any drag racers that, were inspirational to you when you started drag racing?
Yeah. One was my boss, and I actually got a chance to crew on his race team, Bill Reichert. He's a 5-time world champion and top alcohol dragster. He taught me a lot, especially budget and, just paying attention to detail.
Any other drag racers?
I always had the heroes growing up, watching them on TV and stuff. But I never really had, hand-to-hand contact with them, where with Bill I was able to work with him and learn how to do it.
Now, do you think you'd ever do any nitro racing?
Yeah, I got the bug. It's pretty bad. I'm trying to dab into it with this car, but I think once we go full bore into it, we're gonna have to get a different chassis that will handle the horsepower. And that's the other thing, if granted, it's hard to say, if somebody had a seat and needed a driver, yeah, I'd be first one in line to jump in and get my license.
So you're thinking about putting a little bit of nitro in this car?
Yeah, just to wake it up a little bit and see how it reacts.
Yeah, That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Get to smell that nitro.
Yep, that's one thing. It's addicting.
Yeah.
The smell, the sound, the feel.
Now, when you get out there in the staging lanes, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions?
Not really. It's one of those things. We go through and do the same thing every time. I climb in the car the same way. My dad helps me belt up the same way. We start on the same side, go to the other side. It's just, everything's repetitive, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily, rituals.
Now, do you have any sponsorship at all?
Well, yes or no, I guess. I have my own personal business that we kind of sponsor with the car. It's JMO's Hot Rod Garage, and that's basically like a parts dealer.
So now, if you didn't become a drag racer, you have any idea what you would be doing right now?
I always joked about it, said I'd be a singer in a rock and roll band.
So, rock and roll is your favorite music? I take it.
Yeah, I'm a punk rocker, but I love all forms of music, and it just I guess you see when I say I would be a singer, my vocal range fits into the rock.
So do you like rockabilly?
Yeah.
Now, have you ever done any singing with any bands?
I dabbed in singing in a couple bands back in my college days, but they didn't go very much further than a few parties we played at.
Just garage band, party band, huh?
Yeah, we did like the party.
Now, where do you get your fire safety equipment from?
Well, actually, Speedway Motors usually has some pretty good deals around Christmas time, and it's hard to beat those, and when we update the fire suits and that, I usually call them. They've always worked really well with me, and that's generally where we go through.
So what still keeps you passionate about drag racing?
Just I haven't peaked yet. I feel I haven't peaked yet, so I just have a passion and drive to always go faster, or to get down the track quicker.
Now, have you done anything on the car for this year? Any upgrades or anything?
Well, we hurt the tranny last year, so we got a different converter and a different gear set in the transmission, and we're thinking that's going to wake it up a little more. It's going to let me, we'll leave the line on the trans brake at 6,000 RPM, so it'll wake it up there.
All right, so now besides driving a nitro car, do you have anything else on a drag racing bucket list that you would love to try someday?
It's as funny as it sounds, I think a jet dragster would be fun to drive too.
So you like jet cars?
Yeah, I've seen so many over the years that sometimes I don't even pay attention to them when they're at the track. But I just like loud stuff and makes a lot of fire and goes fast.
Yeah, that'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Now, have you reached any milestones in your racing career so far?
Yeah, well, I guess you could say I've gotten to the finals. I haven't actually won in the finals in a nostalgia race yet, and that's one thing I want to do is, especially I follow the nostalgia series of racing, so I want to be able to call myself a winner in that.
Now, have you had any accidents or close calls in your drag racing career?
Well, driving an older gives you close calls, but I've never really been in a wreck. You know, I've been sideways crossing the finish line because somebody in front of me put down something on the track and we didn't realize it. But I'd say that was pretty close. You know, I looked at the wall at 135, 140 mile an hour. But I've gathered it up every single time I've had those issues.
All right, so you ready for a few fun questions now?
Yeah.
So outside of drag racing, any other hobbies besides, singing?
Well, I love to build engines, and I work as a machinist, so it's kind of like my job, plus it's my hobby is building engines. And I'm into hot rods and stuff like that, but most of my life is all based around cars.
So do you have any old muscle cars at home?
I got a pretty substantial list. I got a 67 Chevy pickup that I've had since I've been 17 years old. I got a 63 Sunbeam, 65 El Camino. I just picked up a 26 Model P. Just hot rods all in general.
Now all those are running?
No, actually, no. I'm one of those people that likes to tinker, so I tear stuff apart and in the process of putting them all back together.
Yeah, that'll keep you busy.
Oh yeah.
Now, do you do any car shows or anything?
Used to. I guess you'd say I get bored easily at car shows. I can only look at so many things like that. I'd rather see it run.
Now, Jamison, if you were able to find a time traveling machine and you were able to go back in the time, would you do anything differently with your racing career?
I can't really say that I would do anything differently. I would try to speed up my process, but everything in my life is all led up to this point. You know, it's been a goal of mine to be a driver since I've been a kid in diapers, so I just always worked towards it, and sometimes I got set back, but we made it here finally.
All right, so what's your favorite food to eat?
That's a tough one, because I like all forms of food. I guess you'd say racetrack chili dogs.
Now, do you do any cooking at all yourself?
A little bit. I tend not to, just because I'm always wrenching on stuff.
So if you do cook, what's one of your favorite foods to cook?
It's a simple one. We call it mac and cheese.
Yeah, I call it. Yeah. All right. So what's your favorite beverage?
Well, I guess you'd say Mountain Dew. But if I was going out for a drink, I would have to lean towards vodka and lemonade.
All right. So what's your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh. Probably Hot Rod with the primered wheelies in it.
Favorite color?
Blue.
And your favorite music's punk music, right?
Yeah. Punk, rockabilly, psychobilly.
All right, now, are you a dog person or a cat person?
I love all animals, and I do have a German Shepherd, and then 2 cats.
Yeah, shepherds are great dogs.
Oh yeah, this one was a rescue, and he's a sweetheart.
So how long you had him now?
About almost, about a year and 8 months.
Yeah, so how old was he when you got him?
5.
What's the dog's name?
Maverick.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
So now, when you were growing up as a kid, did you watch cartoons at all?
Not as much as I guess everybody else did. I got up early on Saturday mornings to watch the monster trucks and the truck pulling and inside drag racing.
So but when you did watch cartoons at all, did you have a favorite cartoon to watch?
Be Johnny Bravo.
Hey, pretty lady. Yeah. Yeah. So what are you looking forward to the most out of this 2021 drag race season?
Just getting back to hopefully a normal schedule and getting out there with my friends and making some fast passes.
Now, what would you consider to be the greatest memory of your drag racing career?
Greatest memory? I don't know, I guess my first ever round win, and just had my dad show up and go, wow, we got one.
So, Jamison, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. You have any final words or shout-outs, any kind of good stuff before we close out?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head.
You want to thank your dad, maybe?
Yeah, I can thank my dad, my mom, the rest of my family. They all put up with me.
Any tracks you want to thank at all?
Any of the tracks, I like all the tracks in Michigan. Any tracks that put on nostalgia events. Byron Dragway, 42 Dragway, Beach Bend, all those.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with the 2021 drag race season, Jamison.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And maybe, hopefully next time if we get you on air again, you'll have some, good wins to talk about.
Yeah, I'm hoping for this year.
Yep. So thanks again for being on air tonight, Jamison, and you have a great night.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.